This is KMJ at KMJNow.com or wherever you stream. Welcome to the Marc Kapetan Show. This is attorney Marc Kapetan, your host. Today's show is brought to you by the Kapetan Brothers Law Firm. We've been serving the Central Valley since 1995. If you or anybody you know has been injured in an auto accident, a truck accident, or a motorcycle accident, give us a call at 559-498-8000. Or if you've been arrested or cited for a criminal offense, call the Kapetan Brothers at 559-498-8000. Kapetan Brothers, we are the Valley's law firm. Hey, thanks to our sponsor for today's show, Arc Mediterranean Grill, the Kezian Brothers. We love those guys, right, Marcella? We love the Kezian Brothers at Arc Mediterranean Grill. Two locations, one in Clovis, one in Fresno. If you're looking for some great Mediterranean food, go to the Arc Mediterranean Grill. One on Champlain, one on Herndon out there. And chicken kebabs, baklava. I think they call it paklava, the Armenians. But... yeah, Arc Mediterranean Grill for all your Mediterranean needs if you're hungry for Mediterranean food. Folks, we got a pretty special guest coming all the way from the Los Angeles area, currently in West Hollywood. In 1977, I went to Hamilton High in Fresno, California. The school was down the street from my house. Every single day at noon, I would come home for lunch. And my grandmother, Yaya Bell, nice Greek girl, Yaya Bell would be sitting at the kitchen table with her best friend, Edna Petropoulos. We used to call her Eddie or Aunt Eddie back in the day. They'd be making fried Italian pepper sandwiches, and she always had a Hungry Man TV dinner waiting for me in the oven. My favorite was like the turkey dinner with, I think it had like a blueberry cobbler and stuffing. They would spend the lunch gossiping and eating and laughing to tears, literally. And as a 13-year-old kid, I'd be listening to all the gossip and all the joking around, and I'd be in tears every single day of my 9th grade. After lunch was over, Eddie would retire to the living room where the color TV was. My grandmother would stay in the kitchen where the black and white TV was. Remember, it was 77, and they still hadn't bought a color one. And they would watch their favorite, what they called stories, which were the soap operas. As they called them, stories. For about 2 hours separately, Eddie would be in the living room, my grandmother would be in the kitchen, and they would quietly, intently follow the dramas of these soap operas as if it was their own lives. So how impressed would Aunt Eddie and my grandmother be to know that today's guest on the Marc Kapetan Show is a real-life soap opera star? Thanks to my producer, Marcella. She contacted an old friend, and he has had a 25-year career as, and I even know this name, A.J. Quartermain and Deacon Sharp on such soaps as General Hospital, The Bold and the Beautiful, and The Young and the Restless. He started his career, however, as bad boy Mike Barnes in The Karate Kid 3, opposite Ralph Macchio. He recently reprised his role in the hit series Cobra Kai. So I'd like to welcome to the Marc Kapetan Show actor, writer, producer, all-around bad boy, Sean Kanan. Welcome, Sean.
Mark, thank you for having me.
Listen, thank you for doing this because I understand that you and the family and everything are going through some of the problems that is going on with the fires down in Los Angeles. So for you to make your time today, I appreciate it.
Wow, it's my pleasure. You know, my wife and I, thank God, are safe and sound, and there are a lot of people that are dealing with a lot of suffering, and fortunately, we're both doing well. So it's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks. You were saying, though, and I was going to get to it later on, but I understand the family home?
My aunt and uncle had a home in the Palisades, which was destroyed, and my first cousin, their son, had a commercial building for his real estate company that was also destroyed. But fortunately, they're okay, and that is the most important thing.
Yeah, I saw some of the firsthand, basically videos from a friend of mine whose house, was destroyed down there, yeah. And they had a a real estate agent from Los Angeles who was driving through the neighborhood, just bawling, crying. She sent it directly to them, so it wasn't anything on the news. And just the utter devastation is just so. God bless all you guys down there. So,
thank you.
All right, Karate Kid. At 30 years after the original, you're back with Cobra Kai. But let me go back to, and I got to say, it's one of the best reprises of any type of movie I've ever seen. They're so true to what they did 30 years ago.
Right.
Karate Kid 3, how did you get the role? You were Mike Barnes, who was basically the antagonist against Ralph Macchio back in the day. How'd you get that role?
So this is a pretty good story. I've told it many times, and it's in my book, Way of the Cobra. But I'll tell you what happened. It was 1988, I guess, and I was finishing my political science degree at UCLA. I transferred from Boston University, but I was really out here to start my acting career. I had to make the deal with my parents that I would finish university. My martial arts instructor was a gentleman by the name of Master Fumio Demura, who also happened to be Pat Morita's stunt double.
Oh, you're kidding me. I didn't know the connection.
And he told me that there was going to be an open call for the new bad guy in Karate Kid 3. And to that point, I had done like one guest star on a show on Fox. I'd done a really lousy horror film.
What was the name? No, I got to know. What was the name of the horror film?
No. Oh, it was terrible. So bad. Oh, it's just so bad. It's called Hide and Go Shriek.
Oh, we're going to look that up, Marcella.
Oh, my God. Anyway, I found out because I was already a member of the Screen Actors Guild.
So it wasn't just karate. You wanted to be an actor. It wasn't just a happenstance that you were a karate guy.
Oh no, I was in acting. I mean, I came out here to pursue my acting career. Yeah. And so I went to the casting director's office and I said, hey, I'm a real actor. I've got my SAG card. And I'm on a show that's about to be canceled. And can I just audition for you? And she said, no, you have to go to the open call. And so I went to the open call, and there were probably about 2,000 people there.
Sure.
And I found out later that they had seen 10,000 people for the role of Mike Barnes.
Wow.
Crazy, right? And what's really interesting is, just to kind of go off on a slight tangent, I think that we all hold in our minds a picture of the seminal moments in our life. And a lot of times when we actually are able to see what those moments look like, they only have a vague resemblance to what they were. This was not the case with me. I'll tell you what happened. I was on the set of The Bold and the Beautiful just before season 5 of Cobra Kai was going to air, and Entertainment Tonight was interviewing me. And I said, this is so surreal, because when I auditioned for Karate Kid all those years ago, Karate Kid 3, Entertainment Tonight was there, and they interviewed me. And they said, we have got this vast vault where we keep all this stuff. We're going to find it. And I said, that's what I'm afraid of. They actually managed to find the absolute moment when John Avildsen finds me in line, and you can Google it. It's just put Sean Kanan, Entertainment Tonight.
I've studied karate for about 5 years, and I've been in LA for about 1.5 years acting. It's been going pretty well, and funny thing is, my head instructor did all the choreography for Karate Kid 1 and 2, Yumo Demura, and since I moved out here, this is something I've wanted to give a try, so I'm really excited to be here. You want a little demonstration of what I can do?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a couple kicks or something?
Yeah.
Sure.
My voice is about 3 octaves higher. I'm 22 years old. Yeah. And it was exactly as I remembered it. So anyway, I auditioned. I thought I did a really terrific job. John Avildsen picked me out of the line, sent me inside to the soundstage. Ralph Macchio was there. All these press outlets. I mean, it was really, it was a lot to take in. And so,
because Ralph was huge by that time. I mean, you already had 1 and 2.
Ralph and I've had an interesting interweaving of careers. And by that, I mean, I grew up reading S.E. Hinton's books, The Outsiders, Rumblefish, Tex, and I came out to LA, and it was after Karate Kid. Francis Ford Coppola did a television series for Fox called The Outsiders,
right.
and I played the leader of the Socias, the rich kids gang, and of course Ralph became famous for playing Pony Boy in the movie, and then I worked with him on Karate Kid. So it's just kind of an interesting.
Yeah, well, and you never look like an underdog. I mean, you got to see when you see this on YouTube, folks. I mean, he's a beautiful man. And so, yes, of course, you were a member of the Socias.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought I did a great job, and I left the parking lot of the studio. I'm feeling like on top of the world, and a few days later, I learned the crushing truth that I did not get the role, and it was devastating. And about 10 days later, I got a call.
Yeah.
And they fired the guy that they hired, and they said, "Get to the producer's office right now." And so I jump in my beat up, crappy car. I'm driving down Sunset Boulevard. I lived right above the Whiskey a Go-Go on Sunset.
Yep.
And I think actors always joke that when you see the Hollywood sign, it's either winking at you or it's smirking at you, and it was definitely winking, because I knew they weren't bringing me back to tell me I didn't get the role
right.
again. I figured okay, there's a buddy, a henchman, something. So I show up. There's Robert Mark Kamen, who of course created the Karate Kid. He wrote Taken. He wrote the Transporter. He's a martial artist. Put me through a couple moves. And then he goes in the office with John Avildsen and Sheldon Schrager, who was the executive in charge of production, and they leave the door open. So like I can basically see them talking in this close huddle.
Yeah.
And I'm dying. I mean, literally, this conversation has the potential to change the trajectory of my life.
Of course.
Right? And they come out and they say, "All right, you got the part. This is what you're making. Go to wardrobe right now." And from there, things happened so quickly, I didn't even get to call my parents until hours later. I mean, it was literally surreal. You got to remember, I was a guy that bought a ticket to see the Karate Kid, the Karate Kid.
Right.
I used to, how you were talking about running home from school,
yeah,
and you'd have the Hungry Man, and I was having such a flashback because, not to disparage the good people at Hungry Man or whatever, but like I remember vividly, one of my favorite things, I know I'm digressing, was Saturday night having a pot pie and watching Star Trek when I was a kid. So I get and I would run home from school and I'd watch Happy Days, and Pat Morita was Arnold.
That's right. Yes.
Before I knew him as Mr. Miyagi, he was Arnold. So suddenly, I'm the guy. Man.
You're on with the guy from Happy Days. Hold on one second, Sean. I got to go to a commercial, man.
Sure, I'm sorry.
Sean Kanan from Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, Bold and the Beautiful. Always the Soch, never the underdog. We'll be right back after this on the Marc Kapetan Show. This is KMJ. This is the Marc Kapetan Show on KMJ. Welcome back to KMJ at KMJnow.com or wherever you stream. You could also check out podcasts of all the shows on KMJ by going to KMJ Online or KMJ Now, the app. You could also check out the Marc Kapetan Show on Facebook. And what else, Marcelo? We have Facebook, YouTube, True Social. Like the kids say, smash that subscribe button. Yeah, like and subscribe. We are on with Sean Kanan from Karate Kid, Cobra Kai, Karate Kid 3, Cobra Kai. By the way, you did Japanese karate. What's the difference between Japanese karate compared to Chinese karate?
Well, there is no Chinese karate.
Okay, well, what
Chinese is Kung Fu.
But I noticed you specified in your bio Japanese karate.
Well, there's Japanese, there's Okinawan, which is, of course, technically it's the same, but
no, don't listen. We don't have to go down the road. It's
okay.
Just being a judo guy and fully connected with the Japanese culture as far as that's concerned. I was just wondering if there was a difference. All right. But it must have killed you. We are on with, by the way, Sean Kanan from Karate Kid 3, Bold and the Beautiful, General Hospital, actor, writer, director, etc. Talking about his intro into Karate Kid 3 and then now the reprise in Cobra Kai. Ralph Macchio beats you in the end. Does that drive you nuts as a real karate guy that Ralph Macchio beats you in Karate Kid 3?
No, listen, I mean, I had a pretty good idea. It wasn't called Mike Barnes. It was called The Karate Kid. I kind of knew what I signed up for, right?
Okay, so you get this role. You meet, young kids don't know, Pat Morita, who was Mr. Miyagi to everybody else, was Arnold, right? Was that his name, right, in Happy Days?
He was Arnold, yeah.
Yeah, to meet him and to be part of all that, you must have been on top of the world.
It was very surreal. And very quickly, I had to reconcile that it became very apparent very quickly that this was very serious. There was money riding on the line. They had a lot of problems with the script with Karate Kid 3. Martin Kove was supposed to be the main villain, but he was doing a TV series for Disney. They wouldn't let him out of his contract to play the expanded version of what he was going to do in the story. So they had to rewrite it and bring this other character in that was played by Thomas Ian Griffith. I mean, there were all sorts of things that happened that made it very difficult. And you could feel a sense of that on set. And there was so much, Mark, that I didn't know. As a lawyer, that every field of endeavor has a vernacular. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to someone who's a layman, if they hung out with you all day watching you do what you do, there's probably going to be half a dozen expressions you use that would need some sort of explanation. It's the same thing with film.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody says, kill the baby, it refers to, a light. And
oh, really?
Check the gate. What does that mean? Well, checking the gate was when they were using cameras with film. You make sure that no hair or anything passed in front of the lens that would, ruin the shot. So there's this whole lingo that I didn't know. All this stuff.
But not only are you don't know the lingo, you're just getting into the acting thing. You don't know the lingo, but also what you're saying is you got successful Karate Kid 1, successful Karate Kid 2, and there's all this turmoil going on trying to see if we can make this as good as the original 2, right?
Yeah. So there was a positive thing, though, that happened, which was once the film was done, Ralph and Pat had done all the publicity for the first 2 films, and they didn't want to do it. So they offered it to me, and I got a 12-city press tour, and they said, we're going to put you up at the Four Seasons, and you're going to have a limo. And I was like, can I bring my buddy? And they were like, yeah, bring your buddy. And so, here's my buddy from Newcastle, Pennsylvania. I'm like, get in the limo, and we're going to Detroit, and we're going to Manhattan. They picked us up in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Really cute girl. And she goes, okay, you guys want to go back to the hotel? I go, no, I want to go to Limelight. I want to go to that club. Stayed out all night long. But the great thing was I was so young, it didn't get hungover. But it was like going to public relations school. I learned at an extremely young age how to sit with the press, how to talk to the press, how to interact, and it was like, you can't learn that other than doing it.
Right.
It was compounded for me on this press tour, and it was invaluable.
Did you, okay, so now 30 years forward, they have this Cobra Kai, it becomes a success. Did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you? How does that work where they say, come, and what was that reunion like with these guys? I don't know if you had stayed in touch with them or not.
A lot to unpack there. Yes, I was aware of it, obviously. I did initially reach out to them, kept in contact with the producers, and, season 4, they were like, Sean, it's not going to happen this season. I was like, we're getting a little late in the game here.
Right.
And, what's funny is there's another thing, I think it's on YouTube, where Robert Mark Kamen said, when they said, we're going to bring Mike Barnes back, he's like, don't bring Mike Barnes back. He goes, I don't like that character. And then he saw my performance and he said, wow, he said, Sean Kanan has learned to act. He said he has brought all this dimension to it. And it was so complimentary. And Robert Mark Kamen is, he's the alpha and omega when it comes to the Karate Kid, and to get his stamp of approval meant everything to me. And
that's strange because I went and rewatched all of Karate Kid 3. I saw it way back in the day. I thought you did great.
Well,
you looked the part.
Sean Kanan, I think he Mike Barnes was a very unidimensional, thuggish bad guy.
Yeah.
And one of my, I don't want to say regrets, but I wish when I had played the role all those years ago that I had all the tools that I have at my access now. You know what I mean? But I didn't. And so I had, some raw charisma, and I was a young kid full of piss and vinegar, and it worked for the role. What was great about coming back, there were a couple of things that were great about coming back. The first was reconnecting with Ralph. I'd seen him over the years, but we got to know each other as two guys now that are married and have kids. Right. And, we met in a very different ecosystem.
And it's funny because the show almost has that same thing where he's an auto salesman, you're now a furniture salesman, and it's sort of what happens to old rockers like me, Right. But okay, so you're reestablished.
So that was cool, and it was great because getting another bite at the apple allowed me to bring all sorts of different levels and colors to the character that weren't originally there, and that was, it's not too often that you get a chance to kind of, like I said, get another bite at the apple.
Yeah, and on screen you have a different relationship with him than you did originally. Yeah. It wasn't that, antagonistic thing. Yeah.
Right.
How beautiful. Right. How beautiful.
Yeah. And I said to the big three, the creators, I was like, of course I want to do this, but I really want to infuse the character with some humor, because humor is at the heart of Cobra Kai. And, to their infinite credit, they really did give me a couple funny lines, and
they're doing a great job of it, so I love it. Yeah, we're going to be right back with Sean Kanan from Karate Kid 3, Cobra Kai. Talk about the soap operas right after this. This is the Marc Kapetan Show on KMJ. This is KMJ at KMJNow.com or wherever you stream. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show. Hey, folks, the Arc Mediterranean Grill has some of the greatest Mediterranean food you could have. I love it. So I want you to go look up the Kapetan brothers at Arc Mediterranean Grill. I love saying that name, the Kapetan brothers. Get the chicken kebab. Marcelo, that's what you get all the time over there, huh? The chicken kebab. Yeah, chicken kebab, lulu kebab, some lamb. Yeah, a little baklava for dessert. Arc Mediterranean Grill, 2 locations, one in Clovis, one in Fresno. Arc Mediterranean Grill, thanks for being a sponsor of the show. Listen, we are back on with AJ Quartermain. No, we're back on with Sean Kanan, who plays AJ Quartermain in the soap operas. Sean.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
No, I know. Yeah, not anymore. Bolton. Oh, yeah. You know what? And I didn't know.
Both my bosses.
I know. I'm sorry, bosses, because I'm not up at 11 o'clock in the morning watching. I'm usually in court. But the reason why I focused on that. So yes, the Bold and the Beautiful. For anybody who wants to check out this handsome guy here. The reason why I mentioned though that other name is because I even remember that name as a kid, for God's sakes. That this show's been on forever. And I understand your on-screen mother just passed away.
Yeah, Leslie Charleston just passed away a few days ago.
Yeah, and she had done it for 50 years. You've done soaps for 25 years. You're Deacon.
I've done soap since 1992.
Oh my God!
Off and on, yeah.
So you started when you were what, about 5 years old? No, okay, old joke.
I was like 27, I think. Yeah.
But what? And your Deacon Sharp, is it Deacon Sharp on Bold and Beautiful?
Deacon Sharp on the Bold and Beautiful, and Young and the Restless.
And I noticed there's a crossover between those two, huh?
Yeah, we're sort of sister shows, so every now and then some of the characters cross over.
And the interesting part that I thought about the soap genre is it is so different than movies, TV series, etc., because you guys are doing what kind of schedule filming these?
So it's an interesting schedule. We have a month off in the spring, and we have a month off during the Christmas holidays. So we have a lot of time off. We only tape 4 days a week, and most of the time you don't work all 4 days. But when you work, generally you're doing 14 or 15 scenes, so it's very intense. So you need to really be on your game. You don't get a lot of opportunity for multiple takes,
right?
And it moves very quickly. It's very much like, the fast food of television. I don't say that in a derogatory way, but, on a film, you might do 8 or 9 pages a day.
Right.
And we shoot probably 85 pages a day because we do a show and a half a day, so that on those times that we're off, we've banked shows.
See, I thought it would be like 2-3 days of filming, doing all 5 shows in 2-3 days. But you're saying you do 4 days a week of filming. Man.
We film 4 days a week most of the time. Every now and then we'll film 5. And over the course of those days, we might do parts of 7 or 8 different shows.
Tell me if it's taboo for me to even ask this. Memorizing lines or cue cards?
There's no cue cards.
Cue cards. Memorization.
No, there's no cue cards.
Okay.
No.
So think about this, Marcella. Most, the series, you were talking about Happy Days earlier. The series of Happy Days, they had a half-hour show, which I think was like 22 minutes worth of actual on-screen time.
Right.
You guys are doing, and the soaps are how long?
Well,
each show.
Ours is only a half an hour.
Okay.
Young and the Restless is an hour. So we're 22 minutes as well.
But 5 days a week, almost, 200 something days in a year of weekdays, and you're memorizing constantly.
Yeah.
It's just
but I mean, it's it's a skill set, but it's a great skill set because, somebody can throw me a 5 or 6 page scene and, I can pretty much learn it in like an hour if I have to.
Wow. How much ad-libbing much or no?
A little sometimes, but not if it intrudes on the cues for the other actors.
Yeah.
So you can alter a little bit within, but for the most part, you're really saying what needs to, what's written.
Is it? I mean, it's got to be a grind, though, right? At some point, or is it just second nature to you?
I really do. I mean, I really like the people I work with. I'm as enthusiastic now as I was when I started in 2000. I've left and come back multiple times, but if I'm not there bringing my A game, and phoning it in, then I shouldn't be doing this.
I'm assuming you said you're a reader back in the day, helps out with the memorization, all that stuff. You must be a very, very sharp guy to be able to do that every day. Does it
I don't know how sharp I am, but I have managed to acquire that skill set.
Okay, you are Deacon Sharp at least.
Let me tell you something. Yeah. So I just did a TED Talk.
Yeah.
And
well, listen, if you did a TED Talk, then you got to be sharp because I've only seen smart people on that.
But yeah, no, I did it. I did a TEDx, and apparently it's going to be a TED Talk. But the thing is, you write your own TED Talk, obviously, and you're talking for about 15 minutes. And people say, wow, you're on a soap opera, you can memorize all this stuff. You never see a 15-minute monologue on the soap. Talking for 15 minutes straight is really challenging. Yeah. And even though I wrote it, I really had to work for hours and hours to memorize it.
What was the subject matter?
So the subject matter for my talk was the journey of unbecoming. And by that, it refers to, since the time we're young, society, parents, everybody is pushing us to become something. And I postulate that maybe the path to finding meaningful happiness and true success is not about becoming, but about unbecoming, about connecting with your authentic self. And, there's this great quote, can you remember who you were before you were told who to become?
Right.
And I talk about how when I got the role for Karate Kid, I was in the zone. I was a badass. I got that. And then flash forward to my 50th birthday, I was 40 pounds overweight. I was struggling with alcohol. I was unemployed with no prospects for work. And I said, what happened to that badass kid at 22? And it was because of what I had a process of unbecoming and getting to where I am now.
I didn't want to ask that earlier because you said, I'm a 17, 18-year-old kid. I just got one of the most major roles that you could. And so I was wondering if it came along with the trappings of Hollywood and all that.
I mean, I don't have a lot of regrets. I made a lot of mistakes, but I eventually learned from them. And I think it's afforded me some wisdom that I have now, which, I hopefully am able to pass on to other people, and it's in my books.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I would change a whole lot.
No, and listen, I do the same thing with my clients. We're going to go to a commercial here in a second, but I do the same thing with my clients when they come in with the alcohol. And look at you. I don't see you as being 40 pounds overweight and alcoholic, but at some
I lost 50 pounds.
Well, at some point, right?
Yeah,
at some point, you reach those moments, and in my line of work, it is a DUI, it's a domestic violence charge, it's something that is alcohol related. And I said, and I usually say, this could be the worst day of your life, or it could be the greatest day of your life, just as long as you respond appropriately. Yeah, we'll be right back after this on the Marc Kapetan Show with Sean Kanan from Karate Kid, Bold and Beautiful. Right after this. Welcome back to the Marc Kapetan Show on KMJ at KMJnow.com or wherever you stream. Folks, the Kapetan brothers, if you've been injured in an auto accident, a truck accident, or a motorcycle accident, Marcella, who do you call?
The Kapetan brothers.
The Kapetan Brothers Law Firm. She knows. Yes, she does. Hey, folks, I'm serious. If you've got criminal offense, or if you've been in an accident, give us a call at the Kapetan Brothers, 559-498-8000. We have very little time, so we want to get right back to Sean Kanan, who's an actor, writer, producer. You produced Studio City, which was a take on the soaps, right?
Yeah, it's a show about an aging soap star that deals with a lot of the same stuff that I think we all deal with, and it was terrific. You
actually quit one of the soaps because of you had problems with the writing, and it's so funny because in that I watched part of Studio City. Yeah. You actually are upset with the writers because they're ready to kill you off or put you in a hospital or something to that effect, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, listen, they say write what you know, and for better or for worse, there's I know about the life of being a guy on a soap better than probably I know a lot of things. So that's what I went with.
Speaking of which, when they do the soaps, to write 5 days a week like that, or to write enough material, is a lot of that based on the writers' lives and your lives around you, or is it just purely fiction out of their heads?
No. I mean, it's they're very longitudinal, the soaps. I mean, people know the history of these characters that goes back decades. And the writers, they've got tons of writers to develop story, to do dialogue. I mean, it's a big operation.
It's got to hit you a little bit, the psyche inside your head of being part of this on-screen family, and the passing of Leslie, who is your mother. I mean, is there a blurring of the lines at some point to where you are leading this life on screen 5 days a week, not just, like a movie or something like that?
Well, I think there definitely was a period of my life, especially when I was really struggling with alcohol, where I was playing AJ Quartermain, who was an alcoholic. And, the lines got real blurred for me for a while.
Oh, that's interesting.
And also, in the beginning of when I was on Bold and the Beautiful, I don't think it's any coincidence that my character now in Bold and the Beautiful is a much better guy and is matured and is a lot wiser and all of that sort of stuff. And I do think that when you play a character on a soap opera for a long time, experientially, what you bring from your own life does trickle down into the character.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah, you in part of Studio City, the one that you wrote, I think you wrote and produced it, etc.
I created it and produced it,
along with your wife, right?
My wife is one of the executive producers and a writer, and she's terrific.
Was she in the series also?
Whenever we needed an actress that we like for a little part, we'd be like, Michelle, get over here. She's like, what am I doing? I'm like, you're a cancer patient. Just don't talk. Or you're going to be in this scene or that scene. And so if you watch the whole show, you could pick Michelle out like three different
roles. Your daughter too, right?
Well, my stepdaughter's she's a tremendous actress. Juliet Vega. I'm actually just recently worked with her on something else that I'm not able to talk about right now, but she's terrific. And yeah, it's kind of a nepotism family affair thing.
No scoops for the Marc Kapetan Show is what you're telling me. Okay. All right. Let's get to something much more important, and that is hot sauce. I mean, writing, producing, acting, hot sauce, TED Talks, etc. All right. What's with the hot sauce?
Well, listen, my first book was a cookbook. It's called The Modern Gentleman, Cooking and Entertaining with Sean Kanan. So I'm kind of a foodie.
Yeah.
And I love hot sauce. And I wanted to create one. And the right series of events happened, and it brought us to Bad Boy hot sauce, Cobra Venom, delicious. Carolina Reaper pepper, the hottest pepper as in the Guinness World Book of Records. Red Pepper Punch, and we got Mango Madness. And it's been a blast. It's like learning this whole new business, having a ton of fun. I'm actually going to be in Las Vegas this weekend for the Winter Fancy Food Show, which is the 19th through the 21st at the Convention Center.
Yeah.
And it's been educational and fun, and it's a whole new way to interact with people. I'm loving it.
Okay, listen.
And the sauce is delicious. And if you want it, you can get it at badboyeats.com.
Badboyeats.com. All right, listen.
Badboyeats.com.
I'm going to order the mango because I'm a mango type guy. You're saying
love it. That goes with the salmon and chicken, and it's got habanero pepper and mango, and it's only got 1 gram of sugar.
Still a habanero. Oh, good, because I've quit sugars.
It's not super spicy.
Well, no, the reason why I bring it up is you're known as the bad boy. So is that what out of those three? Which one are you? Are you the hot pepper ghost Carolina, whatever one you were talking about, or are you the mango guy?
I think I used to be the hot pepper one, the Carolina Reaper. I think I've mellowed with age. So I would say that I would be very happy to be the Mango Madness at this point.
Absolutely. All right. Another thing that you did, everybody go out and get it at Bad Boy. What is it?
It's badboyeats.com.
Badboyeats.com. All right. Another thing, I don't know. You must have major anxiety because another thing that you did is you wrote a book called Cobra Couples, you and your wife.
Yep. It's the third installment of the Way the Cobra series. It's a trilogy. The first is Way the Cobra. The second is Welcome to the Kumite. And then Cobra Couples.
Okay. You're a Hollywood couple, which is notoriously not the most perfect of couples.
Right.
And you're writing a relationship book.
Right.
Based on, and I mean, it's dangerous. Hopefully you looked at your wife and said, we have to stay together forever now after this because I don't want to prove it wrong. What's the basis of Cobra Couples, and what's your brief advice to people out there?
I think the basis is communication, and I mean that's not reinventing the wheel, but really, I'm a big Tom Cruise fan, but I think that Jerry Maguire did more to confuse relationships than anything, because you don't need somebody to complete you because you're not incomplete. What you need is to find somebody that is going to allow you to be the very best version of who you are. And when you find that person and you can live in total authenticity, good, bad, ugly, and there's no secrets and there's open communication, it's a really great thing. And one of the things I say in the book, and I've always said it, is I say the right one will make you and the wrong one will break you.
Yeah.
And this is not just a book for people in relationships. This is a book for single people that are tired of saying, wow, I had a bunch of great dates and now, the person's gone, or what happened. And, we help you figure out what it is that you're possibly not doing or are doing that's going to help you meet the right person. It's
an interesting concept that you have, because I never thought of it that way. The "you complete me" sounds just like this loving thing, but it's what it's saying is, I haven't found myself. I don't know who I am, and how do I expect to bring in a relationship on that?
You hit the nail on the head. And one of the things we talk about is look, before you're ready to find somebody else, you really want to know who you are.
Yeah.
And I tell my acting students the same thing. I say, listen, before you're going to slip into the skin of another character, you need to know who you are, because the strongest stuff that you can bring as a human being or as an actor to your work is your own experiential stuff. And if you don't know what it is,
Right. Believe me, that's a beautiful thought. I'm gonna go out and read it, because I'm 60 years old and I've never been married, and so there's definitely something wrong with me.
I don't think there's something wrong with you. It's just,
believe me, there's something wrong with me. I'll give you the phone numbers to all my old girlfriends, and they'll tell you. All right, Sean Kanan from Cobra Kai, Karate Kid 3, Bold and the Beautiful, Bad Boy Hot Sauce, Cobra Couples, Studio City, and TED Talks. Did I get it all?
You got most of it, yeah.
Sean, I love it. Thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it, and God bless to all you guys down there in the LA area. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
We'll see you next week on the Marc Kapetan Show. And thanks to Marcella Solorio Taylor for bringing Sean to us. This is KMJ.